Today we're going to tell you the truth about the ME-90 and how good or how bad it is.
Yeah!
Well, I'm back and I've got Levi with me. Here he is, the guitar god. And he's going to be demonstrating his abilities later for those people that say, you can't play. You heard them. Anyway, today we've got this ME-90. I've watched a pile of reviews on this one, and I haven't found a single one that actually is that great, really. They're sort of okay. What do you expect for the money? It's one of the bottom end ones, although it looks like you get a lot. What do you use, by the way, Levi?
I use a Boss GT1.
Oh, you're still on Boss then?
Yeah, I'm still on Boss. Yeah, it's cheap of a mess, but it does pretty much from what I've seen here, it does pretty much everything Mess does.
Well, this has got them IRs.
But it's got a digital display.
Oh my God. Well, that's the word from the man on the street, so to speak. What more could you ask for? What we're going to do is get this out, take a quick look, and have a good look inside as we always do. But it won't be a half an hour view. It'll be a sort of, well, a few minutes and that's it. Well, there it is, in all its glory. Or is it gory? Metal as well, yeah.
Well, it all looks good, I mean, but
It does.
what's this Air D?
Oh, Air D. Well, I don't know about that yet. We'll find out later on. I thought it was something to do with if you got wind. Okay, well, here we are. This is the first time you will have seen inside one of these ME-90s. And you can see straight off it's dominated by this chip that's down here, which we're going to have a quick look at in a second or two. But as well as that, you've got a number of other chips floating around, some of them very tiny. But that's nothing new for this style of product from Boss. I can see in there's a BD9865, I think it's this one. Yeah, and then moving along a little bit, you've got the main processor, and you know what, I've seen this main processor, this Roland E4E, in virtually every one of these types of boards. Yes, there it is, the Roland E4E. I've seen it everywhere, honestly, everywhere. Moving along a bit further, you've got this little chip down here, which that's an AKM 4619VN. Don't worry about any of these names and the rest. We're in here to look at the quality really, and you can see that the overall quality really is pretty good. I think if there was anything that I could sort of mention that wasn't quite so good, it might be these plastic things here, and they might be a bit hard to replace if they ever got damaged, because remember that those things there are being used by you on the outside of the pedal. And here's the other bit of the unit, shall we say. Got a chip there which is a 4556A. Who knows what that is again. I'm not going to go and spend all day looking at these, because on Roland types of products it gets pretty boring if you want the truth. Yeah, there's also in here, back over here, a electrolytic capacitor that's stuck on the board, and if ever you get any trouble years down the road, have a good look at that, won't you? Now below the main board here, you've got this other board, this bottom board, and that's really for the pedals and things like that that are connected to the other side of it. You can see how big it is actually. It goes from there all the way down to there and across accordingly. You've also got the wah controller that normally fits there, but it pulls out when you're pulling this unit apart. It's got a couple of wires to connect it with. But apart from that, everything in here looks just as I'd expect it to be, so let's go back. Okay, well here we go around the back. You'll notice straight off that these are metal connections, and that's a good thing. Often you'll find on some of the cheaper stuff that they're plastic, and you know what happens with plastic, don't you? Well, it breaks. So the good news is these are metal, and they'll probably take a little bit of forcing in and out over the time that you're using this pedal. I think that's a good thing. Anyway, let's have a look. It's a Boss ME-90, proudly displaying the Air D logo. We've got a ground connector here if you want to do that. We've got a typical input for your guitar. We've got stereo out, left and right, or you can have it mono, just like all the others. We've got a guitar amp or guitar line. You can just flip this either way, depending on what you're trying to do. That's simple. That's the way it should be, rather than faffing around in many menus. We've got an output for phones, although sadly it's a 3.5, it looks like a 3.5 connection to me. And we've even got a loop, which is a send and return, but it looks to me like, well, that's mono, so there. Moving along a bit, we've got this Boss socket. Let's pull that out and show you, if I can. Yeah, there it is, the Boss socket. Yeah, all very nice, but that's what you're going to have to get some more money out for. I'll leave it there for now. You're going to get some more money out to actually put a little device on there for Bluetooth, because it doesn't have it as standard, although it has the software. We've got this USB-C, which is something I like to see. They brought this one up to date. And you've got a power. You've got a DC in, and it says use Boss PSAS only, adapter only, more of that later. We can wrap the wires around this, and we've got a Kensington lock at the end. What more could you ask for? Okay, well, here's a quick look around the front of the Boss ME-90. Guitar multiple effects, it says very proudly up there. Let's just take a look across at the layout. First of all, we've got this preamp section. There's more about most of these later. Then we've got this EQ and FX2 section. We've got a reverb that comprises of one knob for 3 separate reverb. And I can tell you now, I've heard some absolutely awful reverbs on some of these paid-for demos. Absolutely terrible. Watch that knob, won't you? Let's move across here. We've got a compressor, an FX1, so it can be any of these things that are around here. You can choose with this knob here, and here are the parameters for it. All pretty much the same with most of these, in fact. Next one's an OD or DS, that's overdrive or distortion. Again, you've got these around the top that you can probably see. Don't worry too much if you can't for now. Moving along, we've got a modulation section, and here the modulation's around the top, and the various knobs once again around the bottom, so we can control that effect. Then we move along to delay. It's all good. There we are. We can adjust them at the bottom, just like the other things we've got. Then we've got this output level, which is, well, useful, to say the least. And we've got this pedal at the end here that's got these particular type of effects that you can apply to that pedal. Moving further down, we've got these sort of two-way things now. Well, there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's, I don't think they name them 5, 6, 7 and 8, but let's not worry about that too much for now. Now, one of the important sections, in my opinion, on this pedal is this thing here, this memory or manual mode. If you hold it down, you've got a tuner. It says there very clearly. But if you flip this into manual mode, you can switch on and off these other devices. You can see this one does the compressor, this does the OD, this does the mod, and that does the delay, and so on and so forth, which can be very helpful in its own right. And up here you've got the amp, the EQ, on or off. We've got the reverb, and back to the memory or manual. So it's all quite nice and simple, really. Well, there's a quick look inside. Never seen that before. To be honest, on these Boss things, and on Roland I might add, it's pretty much of a much. You always find, well, nearly always find, that it's good quality. But not always. And yeah, when there isn't good quality, it stands out like a sore thumb. But on this one, I must add that for its, I think they're about 260 odd pounds or 270 pounds in the UK, however much they are somewhere else. This one's actually pretty good value for money, and it comes down to the quality. The quality's there. Looking at the top, it's a typical sort of ME style pedal, but it's got a few extra things added to it, such as IRs. You know what them are, don't you?
No.
You don't know what I...
Don't use them.
He doesn't use them. Well, there's a lot of guys like him. I don't use IRs much, but I do use them, especially when I've got to. Maybe on demo in one of these or something like that. So IRs have a place. A lot of people hold a lot of credibility to, oh, the IRs will change everything, so to speak, you know, into this incredible tone. I wouldn't hold your breath on that. They might be an incredible tone to you, but they might not be incredible to somebody else. As I said a little bit earlier, when I was listening to some of these other guys doing these demos, there are some very good demos, but they've spent an amount of time working their way, just my opinion, working their way around some of the issues that lie with this pedal. And they're not obvious until you've got the pedal in your hand, like I have. Let's talk of a few of them. It's important you understand them, because otherwise you'll be faffing around forever. Okay, well, this is one of the things you need. I don't care what anybody says. The problems with this thing can be a little bit weird. For example, now I'm not saying this is exactly the case. You conclude what you like. When you're using, say, this up here, or this over here, or one of these down here, you'll find that only other certain things can be tied to it. And if you want item A might not be available from the actual buttons in the way that you might think, which means that you've got to go to software. Now, there is software, but you really do need the manual, because there is no way that you can remember all of these parameters. You can see page after page here, one after the other. There's hundreds of them. Could be thousands, I haven't added them up. You know, and that's important. How easy is it to use? Can I do everything without the software? Well, sadly, no, you can't. And one of the first things that you can't do without the software, I believe, is turn the noise gate off, because it's on by default. So you're going to be using the software whether you like it or not. And that's Tone Central, which we've seen before. I might run you through it a little bit later. Yeah, how would this work for you?
Well, I'm just an average bedroom player. Well, I can play a lot, but in terms of gear, I don't use IRs or anything of the sort. I use amps because I don't need to simulate.
Yeah. What about your pedal?
The pedal, it's smaller straight away, and to be honest, with the screen you can sort out a lot of what you can do on here, but digitally,
easier.
Yeah, a lot easier on it. But all I do is send it through the amp to the pedal and back to the amp,
and it's good.
Perfect.
Yeah. So how much was that? How much did that go for?
The pedal?
Yeah.
160.
£160. I think this is £270. So street price, that is. I don't know what Roland or Boss would like to call it, but there you go. Yeah. So yeah, the fact is that there are a lot of guys. The majority of people, by far, are actually like him. The bedroom type of guys. Some will go doing the gigs, of course they will, but there's an awful lot more that won't. And for those guys, when you're introducing the IRs and the rest of it, that could be off-putting in some way, especially if you take Levi here. Listen, this guy's been playing since he was 10, and does he really care about IRs?
Not at all. Got a real amp.
Got a real amp. Oh, one more thing. We were talking earlier on when we just zoomed past the back of this unit regarding the Bluetooth. Now, I've seen this Bluetooth connector before on all the pedals from Boss or Roland or both. And yeah, you got to go out and you got to go and buy this. I forget the price of them, but it'll probably be on the screen somewhere, just telling you what you've got to spend extra so you can connect your little phone, if that's what you like to do. My guess is that this is like a sort of semi-hybrid, 10% hybrid and 90%, well, what it should be. And it's like a detraction. Once again, you've got to go and spend some money, and you've got to go and set it all up and faff around with the phone. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like to do. I'm not so sure that millions of people like to faff around and spend extra money on something that should be there by default. One interesting little ditty as we're moving along. Boss, in their wisdom, do not supply a USB cable to USB-C. It's penny pinching, right? They cost about 60 cents. Anyway, let's go a bit closer and have a look at some of these pedals a little bit more depth. I'm not going to go through every aspect because it's just looking at a pedal. And then we'll get the software out and have a quick look at that, because it does want probably upgrading. Okay, well, remember around the back where I showed you that you can set the guitar, amp or line switch. Set it for what you're using it for, otherwise it doesn't always come out right, doesn't sound right. Yeah, most important. Okay, like I say, we're not going to spend all day on this. We've got the basic compressor stroke FX1 area. We're going to start down on these. And you can see with this control knob here that you can whip around to all sorts of different things. And when you've whipped around to them, well, although you can't see it at the moment, if I turn one of these, that display on the right hand side shows you what the setting is for that knob digitally. Yeah, all very clever. Yeah, you've got a number of different, shall we say, effects and compressors in there. Yeah, such as makes a sound sustain without distortion, the regular comp. You've got a T-wire up that gives wire effects according to dynamics of your picking. All exciting. You've got slow gear, which is a very old Boss thing. Best of luck with that one. You've got another one called a D-fretter that simulates fretless guitar, or bass, I guess. Nobody says you can't use bass, do they? Oh, don't think so. You've got an octave that adds pitches 1 and 2 octaves lower, by the way. A humanizer alters the guitar tone, all up here, to make it sound more like a human voice. Best of all, I don't like a lot of these effects personally, but you might. You've got a feedbacker that claims to generate feedback performance, a bit like, a bit like an amp, but it's not quite like an amp, not in my experience. You've got a solo, that's another one. Use this in combination with the overdrive and distortion or preamp effect, which is up there. We'll talk about that later. That's optimal for solos. You've got a tune down, which you might well use, particularly Levi. What do you think?
Well, I just tune the guitar down itself.
Oh, what a cheat. And we've got an S-bend, which doesn't say much about the sound, but it could do. And if you don't like it, you definitely want to put it down the S-bend. Yeah, it gives a pitch shift up or down effect that's not possible when using typical guitar vibrato bar techniques, it says. Really? Well, typical's a funny word, isn't it? Anyway, enough of that one. Now this bit here, this S-bend, I love talking about that. And one of the things that, this is the first time you've seen it because it's the first section we're in, but when you're using the Boss Tone Studio for the ME-90, that's a dedicated app, with the S-bend, you can only use different settings for each patch. There are different things for each patch. And that's the thing, some of them don't appear there. So, you can do this or not, depending on how this has all been set up and configured. And the rest of it. And I think it's built into the OS itself. Next in line, I like to see, is an OD/DS, that's overdrive and distortion pedals. And you've got a number of them all around this control button again. Well, I'll call it a control knob. Select a knob maybe, call it what you like. I know what I'd call it if I can't find the one I want. You might have a different view, but don't worry. So you've got these control buttons across the bottom. They're self-explanatory, it's all pretty boring, but the selection of them is what really matters. And if we look at it, we've got a boost, we've got an overdrive, we've got a T-scream, which is a tube screamer, we've got a center OD, which is purportedly a centaur, we've got a blues OD, yeah, Boss BD2, it says, we've got a distortion, says Boss DS1, this is what it says, we've got a turbo DS, which is a DS2 with a turbo on, we've got a Rat DS, Metal DS, the Boss Metal Zone MT2, best of luck with that one. Yeah. You've got a core. This is a Boss ML2 sound that's optimal for playing high-speed, heavy metal riffs. What are you got to say about that, Levi? Yeah? He's speechless. We've got a muff fuzz that models an Electro Harmonix big muff. And once again, with this thing here, you can use the Boss Tone Studio for certain other things like clean boost, treble boost, OD1, turbo OD, Governor DS, 60s fuzz and octave fuzz. So don't think you can apply everything to everything, because, well, you can't. Moving along to the modulation, it covers all the things you'd expect it to cover. You can see them up here, all these various things. This knob is critical on every one of these darn things. So, yeah, use it, won't you? Yeah, so you've got a phaser, a flanger, a tremolo, chorus, vibrato, pitch shift, harmonist even. Yeah, I've never found one yet that works right, but there you go. You've got rotary, a uni vibe. Sure it hasn't. Well, it has, but not quite like the real deal. It's got a delay, and it's got an overtone. This effect uses MDP technology to add new harmonics to the sound. It produces resonance and richness that wasn't present in the original sound. Well, who knows? I've nothing to compare it with. And once again, in the Tone Studio, you can use this particular modulation thing with script phaser, stereo chorus, CE1 chorus, and auto wah. Okay, well, we're now along to the delay pedal section. And I've got a lot of time for delays. Whether I've got a lot of time for these delays is another story, but it'll cover most things, and it's going to get you by no matter what and make you sound good, and that's part of the point of delays. Yeah, in my opinion. What do I know? In here, in any case, you've got a standard delay, analog, tape, a warm delay, modulated delay, reverse delay, tempo, Terra echo, which that says it uses MDP technology to create a unique ambience and spaciousness that changes according to your picking dynamic. Well, best of luck. It's got a shimmer, a phrase loop, and a plus reverb. Anyway, there they are. And once again, you've got to go into the Boss Tone Studio, and then you can find that these all work with the chorus and delay, the warp, the twist, and the glitch. Yeah, it's a story of my life. Only half of everything works.
I recognise Terra Echo already, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Dead
already
old.
on. It's
Old.
already on.
Old, isn't it?
Yeah, it's already
Yeah.
on the GT1.
Now, it's also got a preamp section here that you can see at the top with its little colour light on. And there's the knob for the selection of preamps. You could almost call them amps, but they're not quite. Anyway, there they are. You get the idea with that. And I guess you could use it to add a bit moreness. Is that the right word? I don't know. In any case, what you've got up there in this preamp is you've got an X crunch, a crunch sound that uses MDP to deliver a crisp tone from all strings. Extra high gain, maximum, which is classed as when it's in an orange button, orange light, should I say there? You can see it. Juggernaut, X-modded, twin combo, tweed combo, diamond, Brit stack, and recti stack. Yeah, there's not much I can say about that, except for one thing. I can absolutely guarantee you this is not a replacement for a rectifier or a Brit stack. Now, there is also a noise suppressor on this unit, and yeah, you can turn it off, but not from here. Yeah, basically, if you want to adjust it, you can press the bank down and bank up while holding down the edit button to adjust the threshold of the noise suppressor. Sadly, you've got to go into the Tone Studio to turn it off. Okay, well, this thing up the top here, you can see it. But basically, like I said, you've got a phaser, a trem and pan, boost, delay, chorus and EQ. And you can use the Boss Tone Studio to exchange the 6 EQs with following effects. So you could change them EQs if you want to. And you can change them to flanger, vibrato, pitch shift, harmonist, rotary, univibe, or overtone. Now you've also got this reverb here. You can see it up here. And it goes from a room reverb into a hall reverb into a spring reverb. And the thing about it is that as you turn it, you can see that that line there goes thicker to a certain point. You get it? And then we flip across to this one. Now we're on that hall. And then we flip across to this one. And now we're on the spring. The point is, I want to raise about that. Most of the reviews I've seen have this horrendously horrible reverb. I won't name them just because I don't want the hate mail, but I can tell you now, it didn't impress me. Now you know we've got a wah pedal just at the side down here. You can see it. It's not rocket science, is it? They've near enough all got one of them on. But you can actually set this one for different things. You've got an output level at the side. I just won't get rid of that while I'm talking about it. There it is. And you've got these on the control knob once again, and they include wah, voice, plus 1 octave, plus 2 octaves, minus 1 octave, minus 2 octaves, freeze, that's a very common one in a lot of devices, oscillating delay, OD or DS, modulation rate and delay level. Yeah, there they are. Now lastly in this section you've got this other bit here that says edit for configuring the system settings, and there's a load of stuff that you can change in there, but you can also do that via the software from what I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. So we've got output selects, knob motions, USB levels, MIDI channels, USB loopbacks, various output settings when using the tuner, back switch operation, switching to manual mode, send return, insertion point settings, preserving and muting the tail of an effect, you know about that, LED illumination colour, so you can have different colours for different things, and a reverse foot switch function. Yeah, I just want to go over these things at the bottom. We can flip this into manual mode by hitting that. And now we can turn on and off. Well, whatever they say they are. All nice and easy, really. And that's a mode that you might find yourself working in quite a lot because it offers the most and simplest control. And always remember, a simple control is far better than a complex control, as any FX3 user will tell you. Okay, well here we are, back up top, so to speak, after looking at the front, the back, the sides, the inside and the outside. And we've looked at the software too, which took a couple of times to make work, I might add. Yeah. Anyway, I won't hold it against it this time, because Roland software is usually pretty good. Maybe it's because I've got that much stuff on the laptop down here. Yeah, it could be something like that. Now what we've also done is we've loaded up the IR software and pulled in a, what did we pull in?
A rectifier of some sort.
A rectifier cab. Yeah, of course we did. And you can see that in the Tone Studio, which we're going to have a quick look at now, because I know he's dying to have a go. Not. So here it comes. Just a quick intro to it. I'm going to open Tone Studio, which is actually connected to the actual ME-90 we are using. And these are the presets down the side. You can see on the screen possibly, while I'm doing this, the various settings changing over here. All very nice. But looking at the software from the top, let's have a quick overview. I'm not going to spend long on it because it's getting a bit long in the tooth is the Tone Studio these days. It's on everything basically. But if we choose that preset P11 there, that rock lead, these are the settings we've got for it. So we've got the input, we've got compression and the rest of it. They're all there, but they're turned off. We've got this one on, that one on, we've got the EQ FX2 on, we've got a reverb on, and when I'm choosing these, down the bottom here you can see where the settings are currently set. Now one of the things about this device, if you're using the Tone Studio, if I move these settings here, of course it doesn't move the actual knobs on the on the device. It's not that clever, and it's certainly at the price it is, it never will do that. But as you can see, moving along them, there's plenty to go at, and we can equally choose different things that we might want rather than the one that's there, which is currently set up to selectable. But it could be a phaser, trem pan, boost, delay, chorus, and so on. We can change the level and the treble. And on selectable, it's on EQ, but I could choose flanger, vibrato, pitch shift, harmony, rotary, univibe, overtone, and so on and so forth. And you can do that for any of these. Now we can go across here a little bit further, and we've got one called user, which currently they all look the same. Well, that's because they are the same. I haven't changed anything from factory, and I never do when I'm showing this sort of thing. Okay, looking along the top here, we can move along to the librarian, and you'll see that in this librarian that's set up currently, there it is. I chose this extra collection that I downloaded from Tone Central. There it is, it's been pulled in. If you was to go across to Tone Central, you can see it's there. There it is, the extra one. I can go to extra 2, and I can pull that one in, add it if I want. Oh, let's do that. It says completed. There it is. So if we go back to the librarian, you'll see there's the second one been pulled in. All very nice and very easy. I'm not spending long on it. I just wanted to show you that. So the Tone Studio here, it's quite an interesting little package. Yeah, it does a lot of stuff, and well, what can you say? It's basically free with the pedal. Great if you like that sort of thing, less great if you don't. We've got a tuner further along if you want to do that now, and we've also got some system parameters that might be useful to set up. Well, they will be useful. We've got hardware settings, various play options, send return settings, output settings, USB settings, owner's manual, yeah, you can get it here, device settings, and even the version. And this is version 1 of the Tone Studio, but we actually did upgrade the ME-90 to 1.3. Yeah, let's go back across to this, and I just want to go across here to look at this one. I could talk about it all day, but I'm not going to. I want to look at the output. And what I did with the output, this is defaulted to what this preset is, this first U1 preset. So there it is. But if I was to have a look here at the AIRD output, that's what it's set to. But if I look down here at the speaker type, you'll see that we've got the original, but we've also got the rectifier that we pulled in, didn't we, Levi?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And you can pull 2 more in. So if you wanted this to be the rectifier, well, there it is, rectifier. And you can write it out, although I'm not going to. I want to keep the equipment as original as when it's supplied, because I think that says a lot. Okay, well, I'm not going to go on much further with this. I've sort of shown you the basics of it, and that's enough for now. Well, all good so far. What do you think?
Well, it looks good, but it depends on how it's going to play, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you think it's better than the one you've got?
I don't know, because it seems pretty similar to what I've got.
Well, you haven't got the IRs and have you got the Tone Studio thing?
Yeah, you got the old Tone Studio and everything.
What more can I say? Oh. So it's just the IRs?
I think it's just the
and a
IRs,
few fiddling bits? Yeah. How long have you had that pedal?
Years.
Years?
Probably 2018.
4?
Probably 2018, 5 years.
Wow. 5-year pedal. Not so different. But you get them cheaper than this one. Yeah. Well, what can you say about that? I actually bought this one, by the way. It isn't anything that's free from anybody. No, it's an actual bought one. And I think it cost me about £279 here in the UK. With no Bluetooth connector or adapter, so I can't use that. And scarily, they don't even come with a USB cable. Talking about cutback. God, my God, that's worse than the NHS.
Even my GT1 comes with one.
Well, what can I say? And scarily, when I was buying the unit, I had a little bit of money knocked off from all the things I'd bought off them, so I got it a little bit cheaper. And then they said, oh, there's a special deal. I thought, well, great, can't wait. Well, I couldn't wait, and they did throw it in the box. And I have to admit that Andertons are usually really, really bad on shipping in my experience. But on this occasion, that product arrived the next day. Maybe they woke up and saw one of my other videos. Who knows? But it arrived the next day. Scarily. And I got my free device, which happened to be a power supply, funny enough. It's a 1 amp 9 volt centre negative power supply, and I could take it out. Well, I'm not going to. I could take it out and I could use it with this device, maybe. Yeah. But of course, boss always tell you to use the genuine one, and this one is about as far away from genuine as you could ever be. They said it was worth about £9, and in my experience I can get these for about $1.30. Yeah. Recommended? No, I don't recommend that. Do what you will. Yeah. Is it even approved? Well, it might be. Or not. So what else is likeable about this unit? Well, it's metal. It's made to a high standard. It's relatively simple to use, but you might have to use the Tone Studio and the rest of the software to get the best out of it, in your opinion. It's not necessarily the best out of it, in my opinion. I think the ME-90 didn't have half of the stuff that this one's got. Well, I say half of the stuff. It certainly didn't have the IRs, I don't think. Although I've never reviewed an ME-90. Yeah, so what's really changed? Well, it's, like I said, it's moved into this sort of hybrid area where you've got 90% normality and 10% of non-normality. And I guess they see that as the way forward. I guess they do. I guess a lot of people do. But the fact is that I don't think it sounds like a real tube amp. Even now, with its IRs or without the IRs, it certainly don't feel right. But you're going to hear it anytime soon, and make your own mind up. Yeah, I've got the expert player. I mean, there's no ifs or buts. I'm right, aren't I? Yeah,
So.
I am right, aren't I? Yeah, I've got the expert player, so he should be, warming your cockles. That's a good phrase. Its price isn't bad. We've talked about price, so I'm not too worried about that. That's quite good. So for somebody that's starting out, well, it's a sort of introduction to the software side of things. If you're somebody just working from home or playing around at home and that sort of thing, well, you might or might not actually want all that software and the rest of it. Is there anything I don't like? Well, I don't like all the bits that aren't included. That's funny, isn't it? Yeah, not even a USB cable, like I said. Yeah, it's a funny product, this, and it's not a product that I personally would have bought. So I bought it to review, and I guess after the review it can go. It's not for me. Although it could be for a lot of people just sort of earlier on, where you want these effects. You know, effects make things sound nicer, don't they? No matter how you look at it, often they do. And yeah, there are a lot of effects for a pretty good price, and that's good. I like the MIDI aspect. It's got a MIDI aspect, but it works over, it's got them over USB. So you can collect audio into your DAW with this device. You can use the IRs. We even loaded some free one, well, a free one up. And all the rest. What have I missed? I've missed a warranty. Now, where I come from, I was assuming there was a 3-year warranty on this. But Levi here has done a bit of digging. What did you find?
Well, on the Boss website, it says there's 5-year warranty.
5-year warranty for a £280 product. What does that say?
Well, it says clearly they're quite confident in how it's built.
Yeah.
If
They're confident
that
how
is.
it's built.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they give it a 5-year warranty. Well, that's one way to look at it. So, score out of 10. What would you give it? What do you think? Compare it to your other pedal, for example. What score would you give it?
For what it is, I would not pay the extra £100 for the extra bits on it. It's
No.
Nah, it's not worth it, I don't think.
So
Personally.
what score would you give it out of 10? 10's best, 0's the worst. What would you give it?
I'd say it's good for
Yeah,
the effects
But
part of it. So I would say,
don't beat about the bush.
I'd say for the bits, I'd say probably a 7.
A 7 out of 10. Well, that's not actually that bad, is it? Is it? No, of course it isn't. And I'd be giving it something... Well, I would have given it a 7 out of 10, except for the USB cable, which really, really annoys me for a cheapskate company that won't include a $1 cable in the pack. Tells you a lot. There's no manual, there's no cable, there's no Bluetooth, there's no this, there's no that. Come on. There's a limit beyond, when you start cutting back like this, you get to a point where, well, the company that makes it will gain, but you don't. You know, if you want a manual, you've got to go and print it out. If you want Bluetooth, you've got to go and spend your... God knows how much they are. I'm not even going to check. I've checked on other videos. And so on and so forth. Surely most people will understand where I'm coming from on that. Yeah, you don't want to keep spending and spending, especially if you're starting out with guitar. So, I think that's it for now. We're going to have him. We can plug him in. And he's going to sound, well, he could sound okay. He could. I've seen him. Seen him before. So, yeah, you'll be going, how did he learn that? Well, he started when he was 10. Believe it or not. He's 12 now. Well, nearly. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. The plane's coming up. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way. Yeah, we need subscribers. We're no different than anybody else. And we actually bought it where the others didn't. Yeah, we need subscribers. And don't forget to visit
tonymckenzie.com.
tonymckenzie.com. Yeah, why should they visit it?
I don't know, we just should.
I can't get the staff.
Website traffic.
You can't get them these days. You're left with this. Anyway, that's it for now from Tony and
Levi.
we'll see you next time. And here's the plane. Now get out of here.